For more than 20 years, this case has remained unsolved. A mystery so troubling, we've decided to launch our own investigation. Officially, there were 6 murders, but there may actually have been as much as 3 times that number. We went to the police files, we interviewed witnesses, and analyzed the crime scenes. Our investigation was conducted with an open-minded attitude, an attitude that may have been lacking in the official investigations. Here with the beginning of our results is correspondent Alexander Johnson.
Geraldo, this is the setting, the post-war boomtown of Vallejo just north of San Francisco. It was 1968, and young people growing up in this tough blue-collar town could hear the acid rock beat of Haight-Ashbury just 20 miles across the bay. And it was hard to resist LSD and other mind-altering drugs and the mysterious attraction of the occult, which was spreading worldwide from the epicenter. It was here, just 5 days before Christmas, that the Zodiac struck and killed. His first victims in Vallejo were a teenage couple, Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday, shot dead in a dark and desolate Lover's Lane. Retired Vallejo Times reporter Dave Peterson.
About all that was left the next day was blood on the ground, and there was a lot of that. Investigators told me that it was the bloodiest scene that they had come across.
7 months passed. Then around midnight on July 4th, the killer struck again in a deserted golf course parking lot, less than 2 miles away from the Jensen-Faraday murder site. Once again, the target was a young couple, Mike Majot, who would survive, and Darlene Ferrin, Dee to her friends. Former Vallejo police officer Richard Hoffman was first at the scene.
She was obviously dead. I checked the neck for a pulse, and she was dead. By the rear wheel was the other victim. He was trying to say something to me, but he couldn't speak. It was just a gurgle.
Doctors at Kaiser Hospital pronounced Darlene dead on arrival at 12:38 a.m. 2 minutes later, Vallejo police received a menacing call reporting a double murder. The anonymous caller also bragged about the murders of Faraday and Jensen. Investigative author Maury Terry believes that the call was a deliberate diversion.
The phone call immediately linked in the murders of Faraday and Jensen and led the police to believe that it was a psychopath at work, and it stopped the search for a real motive in the murder of Darlene Ferrin.
Fear paralyzed Vallejo. There were whispers that Dee's murder was linked to drugs and possibly to a satanic cult.
She seemed to be spending more money than would have come from her waitress job. And she also, along with her former husband, delved deeply into the occult.
Then in early August, 3 Bay Area newspapers received chilling letters. The author took credit for the murders of David, Betty Lou, and Darlene. Each letter also contained a mysterious cryptogram. One was signed with a cross-circled symbol. In the next letter, the night-stalking marauder gave his name, Zodiac.
The name Zodiac was an occult name. And in addition, the letters also contain numerous references to the occult.
7 weeks later, Zodiac moved north to Lake Berryessa. Brian Hartnell, a pre-law student, and his classmate, Cecilia Ann Shepard, were ambushed in broad daylight by a knife-wielding killer. Cecilia died of multiple stab wounds, but a critically injured Hartnell survived to describe his macabre encounter. The executioner wore ceremonial clothing.
It proved later through investigation that he had virtually copied the ritual hood of Aleister Crowley, a notorious British black magician.
Crowley, who died in 1947, is regarded by many as the father of modern-day ritual magic and occultism, and over the years has provided inspiration for numerous satanic crimes in America. Zodiac also made another taunting call to the police, claiming credit for this latest attack. 2 weeks later, on October 11th, he struck for the 4th time. Paul Stein, a cabbie, picked up his murderous passenger here in San Francisco's theater district and drove to his death in this residential neighborhood a few miles away. Stein was brutally slain, execution style, by a single bullet to the head. Gus Carreras, retired San Francisco homicide inspector, and his partner John Fotinos worked on the case.
We found 3 youngsters who had been peering out the window that particular evening. We brought them in and questioned them at length, and eventually we had a composite drawing made of the particular individual that they had seen.
This time, the Zodiac narrowly eluded authorities. The next day, in a letter to the San Francisco Chronicle, Zodiac enclosed a fragment of Stein's blood-soaked shirt and mocked police for failing to catch him. More ominously, he threatened to wipe out an entire school bus of children. In the months following, the Zodiac wrote numerous letters to the San Francisco Chronicle claiming new victims. Some felt his boasts were idle. Many did not. Members of numerous law enforcement agencies spent infinite man-hours on the investigation. Retired Vallejo detective John Lynch.
The FBI was deeply involved in this. Nothing would have pleased J. Edgar Hoover any more than to have the FBI solve that case.